I'm Cassidy Quinn, and this is Mentally Together. Because whether you can see it on the surface or not, we are all just trying to keep ourselves mentally together. And whatever our brains are experiencing, we're not alone, we're together. It's kind of been a while since we had a guest with us together on the podcast, but we are back to doing that this week, and I am very excited about it for many reasons, including the fact that it's probably clear lately I have spent a lot of time thinking my own thoughts and feelings and talking all of that out to you on the podcast, talking about what I'm experiencing, what I'm learning along the way. And maybe you relate to this. When I start feeling anxious, sad, anything just not enjoyable, I have a tendency to start to isolate, to pull away from other people. Like, I just want to sit by myself, maybe binge watch a TV show, maybe just go walking outside for hours with my dog, and just generally avoid most other humans. Do you do that too? I think that happens, at least for me, because it can feel like mental health is a totally individual thing. Like, it's up to me to figure out what I need, what's going on with me, and how to get through it all. And obviously, it is something that we all deal with on an individual level. We all are different people. We have different brains. We encounter different things in our day-to-day lives. So something that helps my brain might help your brain, or it might make your brain feel worse, and vice versa. Something that you think is the best thing that you ever have figured out to do for your mental health might work for me, or it might not. And I do love learning about all the things we can each do on our own to make ourselves feel a little bit better. Obviously, we talk about that all the time here on the podcast, but what's really cool to me is figuring out ways that we can help each other. Because turns out humans are actually meant to interact with and connect with other humans. Like, we evolved into social creatures for a reason. And sometimes I definitely forget that. Maybe you do too. But that means that even when we feel like we're really alone, we don't actually have to stay that way. So, if you need a reminder, here is one for you. You don't have to get through all of this alone. And that's what my guests today are here to show us. And yes, I said guests, plural, because there are two of them. They are good friends who met during the pandemic and bonded over their mutual struggles with mental health. Now they're using those struggles as inspiration for a new short film challenging misconceptions about bipolar disorder and breaking down stigmas around it. It's called Up and Down. Lisa Caz is the writer, director, and producer of the film, and Alizée Falque is the lead actor and associate producer. Lisa was diagnosed with bipolar disorder herself in 2018 and also grew up helping support her mom, who also is bipolar. And Alizée has been diagnosed with ADHD and social anxiety, which are two things that I relate to a lot. So I loved talking to them both about how their experiences with mental health helped them really connect as friends, how they've learned to support each other through those tough times, and what they hope people watching their film will learn about bipolar disorder. So whether you are struggling with your own mental health these days, or you're trying to figure out how to support someone in your life going through a tough time, I think there are a lot of things we can take away from Lisa and Alizée. Oh, and if you're already intrigued by their film, Up and Down, then click the link in the show notes to go to their Indiegogo campaign, because as this episode's going out, there are only a few more days left to donate and get some really awesome perks. And one more note, since this episode features two wonderful humans, and I love talking to both of them way too much, this will actually be part 1 of 2 with Lisa and Alizée. You know, 2 humans, 2 episodes. Why not? Okay, now let's get into it with... They're French, they're creative, they're roommates and coworkers. It's Lisa Caz and Alizée Falque. Did I get your names right? Yes. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I love that you guys are all of those things, that you're friends, you're roommates, you're making a film together. How did it come to be? How did you guys actually meet each other?
Well, we met because we live in the artist community in LA, and so she was not sure about moving in, and then we had a great talk about, we're both like queer, and so we started talking about the TV show Winona Earp. I don't know if you've heard about it, and that's how we started bonding.
Show.
And then just like, yeah, she was like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And I'm going to move into this house with a million people. And we really connected around mental health too, because we started sharing our struggles. And I feel like that's really, how everything started.
Well, we were also both deeply struggling at this time in the middle of COVID with our mental health in a different country with a different healthcare system. And me not being diagnosed at that point.
That's very true.
So like,
me being out of my meds. So that was chaotic.
Oh no.
We could trust each other, but when we met at a low point, it could only get better from there.
That's very true.
Like, support each other to get there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, at least in my experience, like I've met friends when you're like doing amazing things and having fun. And then at some point, you know, your struggles are all like, in me, my struggles are always going on internally, even if I'm not talking about it. And so then it's hard to figure out like, when do I bring this up? Like, is this feels like a safe person, but I don't know if they struggle with insert whatever here. Yeah. So like, what was that point for you guys that you just started talking about that? Cause I love it.
I don't know. I feel like that was very natural.
It came very natural because, so not only do we have, you know, of course we have different cultural ways of being with other people. So when you live in a house with like 14 people and you have 2 French people, where we're 3, but like we were able to speak in our own language. We brought it brought a kind of like comfort that we didn't have, especially since we were blocked in the United States throughout the pandemic and we couldn't see our families or anything. So we had nothing of France at this time. People were struggling there too. Like all of this came together. And so we ended up being obviously starting talking in French and politics and all of these things of our country with our own cultural rules. And I think one of the thing is we both had experience with mental health separately on our own. And we had a very deep respect for each other's needs in that time. So basically I had that thing where a lot of the time, because I have ADHD, but I also have social anxiety accompanied with it. Living with 14 people isn't always the best thing when you have social anxiety.
When you said 14 people, that's the first thing I was like, social anxiety. How?
Exactly. So for me, it was great because it was COVID. So you had people to see and it avoided the very lonely alone part. But the social anxiety part was hard to do. And so some days I could not even acknowledge people in the room, in the space, in my energy. And she understood that very quickly and could feel whenever I could or couldn't see and wouldn't take it personally. Yeah. And so because of that, I think it was very easy. And I kind of figured out very quickly as well, when she needed people or when she was going to tell you, no, it's fine. I don't need you, bring her food because she hasn't eaten in 2 days.
Oh,
like, how does that work? I'm exaggerating, not 2 days, but like it's that thing where it's like, oh, she's not going to come out of her room. And if I don't bring food, she's not going to eat. So like,
that is the sweetest.
And you don't need to talk about that. Yeah. So
I have some issues asking for help. You know, I'm like, no, don't worry, I got this, I'm fine. I'm like, really not okay, but that's fine. I'm not going to tell
And then I bring her food, and instead of saying thank you, she says sorry. And I'm like, I was not expecting sorry.
Like, why are you sorry?
What happened? Sorry, no, because then you had to go and make them. I was going to make some anyway. Like, yeah.
Oh, that you guys supporting each other is the sweetest. Wonderful.
The only reason we're alive today.
No, that was a great meaning right away. I feel like both like being queer, I feel like that was really the first connection, and then mental health. And again, I was not taking my meds at the time because I came here in December 2019 with enough medication for 3 months. I was like, I'm going to find a doctor and just, and then COVID hit because it was March 2020. And I was like, oh,
perfect. Just at the 3-month mark of your meds. Yeah. Wow. Exactly. Yeah. Perfect.
So like, okay, for 2 weeks, we cannot go out. Okay, it's fine. I'll find a doctor after. And then 3 weeks and a month. And then you're like in denial. You're like, oh, I'm doing okay. It's fine. You know what? I got this. I don't need my meds. I'll go see a doctor later, until you're not really doing well. And I remember, I think it was with you and Clara. Clara's the other French girl at our house. I had a moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to stop being in denial and I'm going to tell them Okay, so actually this entire time I've been off my meds and I don't know what to do right now. I don't know how to just navigate the American healthcare system. I don't know. I'm so lost right now. Like, what can I do? Like, do I need to go see like a general practitioner, to go see a psychiatrist? Like, how does that work? Do I need to go to the ER? Like, I was so lost. And when you're really, really depressed, like everything is hard, obviously. So just
Yeah.
having to navigate everything by myself, I was so grateful that I had Ali and I had Clara, and they helped me, and we found a new health insurance, and like they did some phone calls for me, and that's really like how everything like started feeling better again. It was really hard in the beginning because I have like a medication, like you go from 25 milligrams to 25 milligrams every 10 days because you can have a bad reaction to it. So you need to go slowly. So it took me like 6 months to go back to what I was taking before. So it was a roller coaster, uh, and trying to like manage classes at the same time and trying to get all my projects out there. And like, we're on a very tight timeline because we came here to study and we're on our OPT right now, which is optional practical training. So we're allowed to work in our field of study. And we're trying to stay with an artist visa. And so you're on a timeline all the time and you're just trying to get things done. And when this gets in the way, it's not always really easy, you know?
Yeah. And the pandemic's happening this whole time. Yeah. Just to, make it even more calm. Yeah.
I think the guilt of not being able to do what you're supposed to do because of timelines and visas. Like, as we said, like if we had no timeline or like no deadline of like, oh, this visa application needs to be sent by then. And if you need to have sent that, you need that many amounts of credits. You need this proof, like press. And it's like an amount of things, like a huge amount of things that really is difficult to get. And so every time you can't do anything, you're in that guilt of not being able to do it. So you don't actually rest to be able to do it after.
Yes.
I think what I did that was probably the worst is I probably spent a month and a half and I caught up to the 18th season of Grey's Anatomy that I had never watched. But that's all I did for a month and a half. I was not able to do anything else. I did all the 18 seasons in a month and a half.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, but I did that all day. I mean, I couldn't do anything else but watch TV. I mean, I would do some stuff, but like nothing productive. Nothing that would bring me anywhere. And then you're like, well, it didn't do anything for a month. Like, that sucks. What do I do now?
And I feel like that guilt is really important because your sense of like self-worth, when you're not able to do anything and like you were saying, you try to rest, but like your brain is telling you, oh, you should be doing something else. So you're not resting and trying to take the day off, but there's no off. Like your brain is just going at you every single time. Like, you're resting. You should not be resting. You have so much to do. So it's like a never ending story.
Yeah, I can relate to that so much. And then you like do that for a few days. That happens to me. Like I always hear people talk about the Sunday scaries. It's like the end of the weekend. You're like, I have to go back to work. Oh my gosh. But for me, a lot of times it'll happen on a Friday, like Friday afternoon. If I didn't get whatever my brain said I was supposed to get done that week, using like, air quotes, supposed to get done.
The impossible list of things that you gave yourself that's obviously unattainable. So you put yourself in a form of not succeeding anyway. Yeah, I see.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. But you get to Friday. Love that we're recording this on Friday afternoon also. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't do enough. And I just start feeling the guilt. You put the exact right word on it for me. It's like, oh my God, now I'm a failure. Now I am so bad. What did I do? Why did I, so for me, it's the Friday scaries that hit for sure.
That's interesting.
See, for me, like there is no days of the week. Like I don't have a schedule of the days of the week that actually is a week. So I have things to do every day. I don't have a rest day. And if I do, it's more like a half an hour rest. And I take a rest day because I can't do anymore because I'm breaking But some days it's like, oh, I'll audition for something. And then 2 days later, I have to be on set. And it's like, well, okay. Or like I get even like any type of thing when you have to be on screen or do. And then you have the production, you have the preparation, you have the auditions and things. You're like, oh, I'm going to take a rest day. And then you get, oh, you have 3 auditions due tomorrow. So no, I'm not taking a rest day today. I'm actually learning all of it because it's due tomorrow. So it's, you don't even have a schedule.
I feel like the pandemic didn't help because we mostly work from home. So how do you keep a schedule? Especially I feel like we're perfectionists. So you just want to do everything and everything well. So like, it's not, oh, it's like 6 p.m. I'm going back home and I'll go back to work tomorrow and I'll finish tomorrow. It's like, no, just 5 more minutes. And then it's 10 p.m. and you're still working.
You should see our lists for the next, 2 weeks?
Next week.
I don't think it is even humanly possible if we didn't sleep. If we had the 24 hours a day, I don't think it would be possible. Yeah. So I don't know how we're going to do this. But
we're going to do this. See, the fact that you acknowledge that going into it, that maybe it's not humanly possible. So maybe you get to the end and I'll send you that clip of you saying that and you'll be like, oh yeah, see, I knew it wasn't humanly possible. I'm okay.
Well, yeah, but USCIS won't care. And our shoot that's happening next week either. So it's not like we have a choice in the matter of the deadline and tell ourselves it's okay if we didn't do it. No, if we just didn't send our visa application, we just didn't send it. It's like, I don't think they would really care.
You know, it's like Murphy Law. Everything happens at the same time eventually. And I keep seeing all the meetings adding up and I'm like, okay, well, that's fine.
So among all those lists of things you need to do, I'm sure some of them include working on the short film, Up and Down. Yeah. Or maybe like a lot of them have to do with that. So what is the film about?
So it's about a French filmmaker who's trying to stay in the US, got a job at a production company, and last minute she receives a letter that tells her, oh no, we won't be hiring you. But she really relies on that to stay for her visa. So it's kind of, oh my God, what am I going to do now? But the thing is, she's also bipolar. So it's going to put everything, like it's going to imbalance everything for her because obviously it's like a major event happening to her. So how do you manage like that big thing? Like you created this life for yourself here and you're trying to stay and you thought you could stay and last minute we tell you, no, you're going to have to go back home. And balancing mental health. It's like, you need to find something else if you really want to stay. But at the same time, you're like, oh, I need to process that news, but I don't have time to process it.
It seems like this is a relatable story to you, Lisa, maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe it comes from some personal experiences.
Not at all.
We actually started working on the film. So I wrote the film. I already knew Ali was going to be playing the main character. I told her I want to write something about bipolar. I feel like there's not a lot of content out there. And like, it's usually just like you see like this big manic episode or like big depressive episode, but not really in between episodes. And a lot of like, different types of bipolar. And I'm the type 2 that tends to be like more depressed than actually manic. I don't go manic. I go hypomanic. So I have a lot of energy, but I don't really lose touch with reality. And I feel like that's not really represented on screen. So I told Ali, I think I want to write something about this. And it was before I was still not back on my meds. And I was actually in a hypomanic episode. Then I realized it after. So I was like creating so many things and I was really on it. And I told her, what do you think? And she was like, yeah, we should do this. So right away, I told her, okay, I'm going to cast you as a Camille because like you've seen me, you know more than most people about bipolar, even though you're not. And so, yeah, that's how really it started. And then I went through a long depressive episode with like not being on my meds. And I went back on the project like later in 2021, maybe September or something. And then that's when I really started writing again. And I don't know, there's not enough content for me. And I feel like it's very misrepresented. We talk more about anxiety, depression, but I feel like bipolar, people tend to be like, joke around, oh, you're so bipolar, or which honestly, if people know what it's about, I don't really care about jokes, but it's most of the time it's like, you don't really know what you're saying because you have no idea what it is. So like, don't use that as an insult, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is based on me for sure. And we're trying to figure out a way, like something that would be triggering, because at first we were thinking about COVID because that's how we connected and like mental health during COVID, but we didn't want to write something about COVID. I was like, no, I need to find another situation that's going to be triggering. And then we're just in the middle of doing visa stuff. And Ali went like, what about just, something that goes wrong with her visa? So, okay, let's write this.
Yeah.
that's how this story really came to be.
Yeah, I think it was also interesting that I came onto the project because at first I was like, well, I'm not bipolar, so I should not do this role because it was someone else could have totally played that amazingly well. But I think one thing that was really important, and especially to you, is that this character is not just a bipolar correct character. It's a bipolar character, except that it's your character based on some of your life experience. Yeah. And also bipolar exists like a lot of different ways. Everyone has a different way that those symptoms express themselves or how they live with it. Yeah. And because I had been through you living with it, in between just telling your story to a stranger to figure out how they could play it, I had been through that with you and saw it firsthand on your experience of that. Yeah. Which I think was like interesting and important for us because we could like talk about those intimate moments that you might not want to talk to anyone or any actor playing it, especially that since you're directing as well. She's directing this, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think we will have ways to communicate and understand what you want out of this character. Because like I see what your experience is.
Even like nonverbal communication, I feel like she's gonna understand what I want and what I need for this character.
Hoping.
I know it. No, I know it. I know it. That's not even a question for me. I know you will nail this.
And if not, she'll be directing you and giving you feedback in the moment.
Yeah,
that's the whole goal. That's the whole goal of this. Yes.
I'm honestly, I feel so lucky. The second actress too, she's very invested in the film. She read the script, she loved it. She was like, I'm all in, guys. Like she's been, just so amazing. Everyone in the team. We have an almost entire female crew, which is not happening very often.
Mainly queer as well.
I think we have 2 or 3 guys and the rest is just like female or non-binary. And half of the crew is queer.
Awesome.
We're pretty happy.
So
it's going to work out well.
It's going to be, and a lot of people that actually know about mental health, that struggle themselves with mental health. So they connected with the story right away, even though they're not bipolar, but they read some stuff. They were like, oh, yeah, when she's depressed in the film, I can really relate to this. And that's really important to me, is having people on set that really connect to the story and that are very invested in the story more than anything else, because it's so personal to me that's really what matters.
Yeah. Since it is so personal to you, has it felt so far, like, has it been difficult to figure out how to put some of your experiences into something that's going to go out into the world? Like, what does that feel like?
A little, honestly. I feel like I'm pretty open about it with people in my life. The real struggle was, do I want to be open about it in the industry? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, bipolar equal not reliable. And we had that conversation like for a long time. I was like, should I go public about this? Like, obviously all my friends, the people I live with, my family, everybody knows, but should I do this or not? Like, it's going to mean that people, because I'm going to be talking about the story and people are going to ask, why did you write this? And I don't want to be like, oh, I don't know. I like talking about bipolar disorder. I want it to be truthful. So I knew I would eventually have to say this to everybody. And it took me a while to decide if I would do it. But I think, honestly, I feel like if I can help people with anything, if my experience can just help anyone, even one person, I'll take it. So over anything else. So I've always been like advocating in my life. But that was always the issue of, the entertainment industry is hard. Like, should I put that out there? Is it gonna, am I gonna like kind of shoot myself in the foot, or is it gonna be worth it? So that was a real question.
But I think there's also the idea that there are multiple things that came out of us having a conversation about this, but mainly was like, you, as you said, everyone in your life knew about it, which helped because you had a real support system. And what ultimately this is about is to show people that a good support system is needed and that they can lean on that support. They don't have to just, shut it out and then figure it out on their own. And that with the pandemic, and you saw this on your side, but also you were telling that her mom also has bipolar disorder. So she's been the support system of someone else with bipolar disorder, which is like a whole other insight in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, you also see with the pandemic, someone else struggling, yourself struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like all these other people that are clearly struggling, but don't have a place to get that support. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really crazy.
Yeah.
And when we were talking, every time we were talking, the one person that came all the time, or like Kylie, because we're a big fan of Kylie, who's also like very vocal about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And every time she was saying, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this or anything," I was like, "But see, look at her, she's doing it." And that was the thing. It was like, oh, that's a queer person with bipolar disorder who's doing it, who's making it. And just the fact that we were able to use someone who was able to be honest about it and have that model and that person that gives you hope into, oh, you can make it work. You might need adjustments. You might need to like be careful and figure out how that will work for you, but like you can.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you can give others as well in the industry.
Yeah, that's kind of like that hope, you know? Yeah. Because they tell you, like, I was doing like a kind of workshop of 6 weeks before moving to the US, and they explain to you like what it means to be bipolar, some stats, and then, okay, depressive episode and hypomanic, manic, and those like mixed features where you're like going back and forth between high and down. And they were just telling us like, it's kind of risky to not have a 9 to 5, like, because we need a real balance. We need an actual sleep schedule that's always pretty much the same, because sleep is really the most important thing. If you start really messing with your sleep, it starts being very like dangerous for you, because you can either go up or go down. So it's always that balance you need to find for yourself. And obviously, like making films, it's not the most stable thing. And like,
we can attest to this right now.
You're not going to work, or you're going to work on like pre-production for like some months, and then you're on set for like 20 days and it's like 12, 15-hour shoots. And yeah, obviously you're not going to be sleeping that much, and it can just compromise everything. So they tell you, I would not recommend you guys to like have your company or like do this. And so there was always a part of me that was like, should I just go for like a 9 to 5? But that's not who I am. That's not what I want to do. I feel like I would get bored. And so I'd rather like find ways for me to figure it out and still do what I like. And, you know, and yeah, that's really like what I see through like Kylie. And that's what I want to do too. Like want to come to that place, you know, where I can do what I love and still find a balance and be able to show people, look, this is possible. You just need to find the right people around you, and like that right balance for you. And eventually that can happen for you.
And I just want to mention that it's not a one solution fits all. And it's not a one solution fits forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you have right now something that's working for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second it's not, we have to readjust. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. Yeah. There's going to be like moments where maybe we should think about new ways to make this work. But it is possible, and it is manageable, especially if you have a support system. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, I've been on her to sleep and eat for like days right now.
For the entire month, because I've been working so much, because I'm directing and I'm producing. So I've had a lot of things to do. And every day she's like, okay, how many hours did you sleep? Did you eat today? Like, don't be Camille. So Camille is the character in the film, you know, she's going to be playing.
Take
like,
I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this against you.
Go take a 20-minute nap. No, you take a nap and then you can do something.
So yeah, that's kind of the joke now. She was like, okay, don't be Camille.
I love it. Have you been putting off a visit to the doctor of any kind for way too long? I'm talking a flu shot, an x-ray, or even therapy. I know how that feels. You know you need to do it, but sometimes it just seems so difficult. That's why I've started going to Zoom Care. With locations in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Colorado, Zoom Care offers same-day doctor visits that you can book online or from their app. Yep, you don't have to talk to anyone on the phone. They even offer mental health visits where you can speak to a board-certified mental health provider in person or through video. That's how I've been going to therapy this year, all on my webcam from the comfort of my own couch. Oh, that reminds me. I better go book my next session. If you're ready to make an appointment of your own, head to zoomcare.com. That's ZOOMCARE.com.
Now, back to the show.
What are some of the things that you're hoping to be able to communicate about bipolar disorder through Camille, through the film, to the people that are watching?
Something that's really important to me is, Ali touched on it before, every experience is valid and is different. I met so many people that are like, when they're hypomanic, they're not going to sleep that much, but not the same way that I'm not going to sleep. Or, you have this image in mind, like, oh, depressed equal, like, I'm going to be sleeping all day. Some people have insomnia when they're depressed and they don't sleep either. Whether they're manic or depressed, they end up not sleeping. So it's interesting to really share those different stories. And that's something I put in the campaign, like a disclaimer. This is one story. I'm not pretending to just represent everyone with bipolar. This is based on me, and this is what I want to share. I'm not sharing everybody's stories.
Yeah.
So that's something that's very important. And like Ali said, the support system, I feel like I've been really lucky. My mom is bipolar, so also, obviously she was accepting of this. But my entire family was always very supportive, all my friends. So that's been amazing. And I was very lucky to find the right doctors right away and like medication that works for me. And this is not most people's experience. And I just feel very lucky. All the people I met when I was in the hospital, they struggled for years. Their family don't want to see them because they're like, you're crazy. I just don't want to talk to you anymore. That was never my experience. So through the second character, Hannah, her friend, I want to show that when you have at least that one person that's there for you, it makes all the difference. And you need to like accept that help.
Yeah.
It's very, very necessary.
Though I just want to point out that it doesn't mean you should become dependent.
No.
And trap someone into being your sole rock, or otherwise you're going down. And that's not
obviously
that's not healthy either. And that's something to be mindful of.
For sure.
Accepting help, no problem, but becoming dependent of someone becomes something totally different. And we're not trying to show that in
no.
Yeah.
Not becoming dependent.
Not the goal.
I love hearing you guys talk about all the little things that you have done to support each other. Like even Lisa, you saying earlier that Allie like helped make some phone calls for you because like the other day, my boyfriend made a phone. I needed to like order a pizza and I was trying to leave town and I was so stressed out about packing for my trip. And I was like, I just need to order this pizza. And he's like, I will call and order it for you. And it sounds like the tiniest thing, but when you're in that overwhelmed moment or a big depression moment, it feels huge to me to someone just be like, I'm going to make that phone call for you.
Makes no difference.
I get emails and then she writes my emails because I get social anxiety on that. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond. So she writes out my emails.
Like,
actually, they all take turn in the house, but they all write my emails. I don't think I write much more of my emails anymore.
No, you have like a first draft and we just like move things around and add things and like.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And, like reminding each other to eat and sleep. So I'm just curious, what are some of the other things that you guys have both learned of trying to help another person, help each other? And obviously it's not a one size fits all, but things that people listening might go, oh, that's how I could help a friend when they are feeling super anxious or really depressed, or if they're in manic or hypomanic episode, or just going through a hard time,
Yeah. To me, the most important thing is make sure that you are able to do it without it affecting your entire balance, because it can very quickly become very overwhelming and you'll want to help, but you might not be able to. And that's something to keep in mind, because if the other person is aware that if you can't, you will say that you can't and pass it on to someone else, likely, like hopefully a healthcare professional, which I've done with you. I've told you, well, now I've done what I could do, but like, I can't, like, you need to call someone that can do this because this is not going to work. I'm not a therapist. I haven't gotten nicer to take care of things like that. But on little things, it was fine. And then I was like, I will tell you if this becomes too much and I can't anymore. So then it was easier for her to accept that help because she knew that she wasn't putting a burden on me, because if I couldn't, I'd figure out a way that she would get taken care of in a different way, and I wouldn't put myself in danger. So she didn't have to feel guilty about asking for help, because if I couldn't, I would say no. And that's something that I think freed a lot for us to be able to be helping each other out. Is like, if it becomes too much, you'll say no. And so that was the first most, I think, important thing towards helping each other. And then I guess the more you pay attention and you really listen to their own experience of things, you'll notice two things. Usually they'll tell you what their trigger is, which is super important to know, because then if you notice some of those triggers, even though it might, like, for example, even though a switch has not happened, I know that it's about to if this keeps going. And I'm like, oh, I noticed one of your triggers happening more often and more often and more often, and this is going to go somewhere wrong. And then she can be aware of it and make adjustments. Or also, what arguments work when they're fine. So by that, I mean, it's a complicated thing, but it's like, when you're in a depressed state, telling someone that, oh, it's going to be fine, doesn't work. But when they're okay, what actually helped them to keep ground on things? And then using that, saying, yeah, but you remember a month ago when you didn't have all of this going on, this is what you told me. This is what's grounding you. And this is what, so now you know, this is the depression talking, or this is the manic episode talking. Like, this is it's not okay talking, but this is not all the time what it is, because 2 months ago, this is what it was. And now it still is that, just you feel it differently. So you can't trust your thoughts at this point. And I think that helped a lot.
Yeah. For
Are you my therapist? Because she says things like this. You say you're not a trained professional, but I'll say things to my therapist, and she's like, you told me about this thing that happened. So you can't, exactly. You cannot listen to your brain when it says that. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm the one who originated any of these thoughts or sayings, but
no, but exactly. Like that's so important. Yeah.
That's what's helped me.
Yeah. And to go back to what you were saying about like being in a place where you can help someone, I used to want to help everybody, and I would just put myself in a very bad place, and eventually you're not able to help anyone. So everyone is miserable and nobody can help anyone. And I feel like that's very important. And I always have that feeling of, oh no, I'm going to be a burden, and that's why I'm not going to have to ask for help. And I also, like she was saying, my mom is bipolar. So I have like those two sides of, I know what it means to be bipolar, and I know what it means to live with someone that has bipolar. Yeah. And it can be really frustrating and really hard to see that person not listening to you. And like, you're trying to tell them, okay, you're going down, you're going up, listen to me. Like, you have to do something about this, and having someone that's just a wall, like not listening to you, it can be really hard. So that's also why I always feel like I'm going to be a burden, because I know that all the side of things. So yeah, I feel like with the right balance now, I mean, we've known each other for like 1.5 years now. So I feel like, and living together, working from home, so seeing each other like,
so really, it feels like you've known each other for like however many years you've been alive.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I feel like for her, like ADHD and social anxiety right away, I could tell like, okay, this is not the right time. I'm not gonna try anything. Or like, I know like when she has issues with social anxiety, you cannot touch her. So like when she's having like a moment where she's not feeling good, I'm like, do you want a hug? It's like, no. Okay. I'm not even like, trying. I'm like, so I asked the question and I'm like,
I'm just asking to us, but like, I know the answer.
Yeah. But I want you to know that like, if you change your mind, I'm here for that. Exactly. I'm here. Yeah.
Leaving that space also for the person to just process their feelings and like have that time for themselves to just go through whatever they need, and just telling them, I'm here, whatever you need. Like, and not trying to push it, because I know some people, they mean well and they want to help you, but they just end up doing too much and it becomes a pressure on you, and that's just not working out for anyone. So yeah, finding that balance of, I know I'm not taking this personally. It's just going to be like, no, not answering me or anything. Like, okay, that's fine. Just like she needs that moment, it's fine. And just go back later and see if like she's feeling like talking or doing something later. And and not judging. I think that's also something very important. Finding the right words to not sound judgy, because it's always hard to find the right words. But as long as you don't sound like you should be doing this and kind of that, oh, I'm going to teach you how you should be doing things. I feel like that's really what matters to me.
And I think for me, one thing that you do to help is also taking over with other people. So it's like, because I won't answer other people either. But they don't understand that I'm not just trying to ignore them and not care about what they're saying or things like that. And so she takes over in talking to people for me, which helps a lot when I'm unable to do. And one thing that to me helps a lot with social anxiety is like, I'm already anxious socially. So like when I've had a moment where I couldn't talk to you, and then you're weird with me and your energy and you tiptoe around. If you tiptoe, I won't be even able to start a conversation. So it's like either pretend that nothing has ever happened and like, hey, so do you want to go and things like I'll totally jump in. But if you're like, so are you okay now to talk? There's no way I can do it.
Can I approach you now?
Yeah, it's like there's no way.
Start fresh.
Help me talk to you and get over whatever was happening at that moment and like switch the feelings around and switch the anxiety around if you're tiptoeing and being like, so are you, can I talk to you now? And like the amount of energy that it requires to say yes to it's just too much, so I just leave. And it's like, hi.
Oops, I didn't respond to that text for 2 months. Whoops, I still love you. I just that day just wasn't my day. And
yeah, I mean, when it's a text,
at least that's me.
I have a deal with some of my friends because they get really pissed because it stresses them out. So I have 2 emojis. And it's like I told you. It's like, do you want, I think it's bicycle and panda with you. It's like panda means hug and bicycle means run away. It's like either it means like, yes, I want to hug, I want you around, or it's like, go away, I don't want to see you right now. It's like, okay, so I can put either emoji. It's like a one touch or one thing, and I don't have to say anything or explain anything, but it just like now it says it all.
Oh my gosh, I love that. This is how people can support each other through mental health in 2022. Emojis. Right? That's all we need.
Just an emoji because it doesn't have words. It doesn't take as much energy as figuring out things. You just put one of the 2 emojis that you've talked with the other person, and it's way easier to get that over. It's
great communication when you feel like you're not in a state where you can actually have a full-on conversation and you can just wrap your head around, oh, I need to explain how I'm feeling right now, and otherwise they won't understand. You have that quick way of saying, okay, right now, I need you, or no, please, just no.
I'm going to start doing that. I don't know which emojis I will pick, but those are good.
Let us know.
Yeah. If you're having a bad day for whatever reason, anxious, depressed, whatever it is, just sad, what are some of the things, whether you call it self-care or things you do to put yourself in a better spot?
Let's see if you know what you're going to say about me.
Ooh, what you do?
Yeah.
This is like playing the newlyweds game. You're like, I'm going to answer for the other person and see if my answer matches.
I'm just curious because I feel like you could guess why it would be.
So avoid the triangle.
Okay, but I would want to say you probably would do 2 different things that you were manic or depressed.
No, but I mean, okay, when I need to like kind of be in my bubble, but I still get out of my room. What do I do?
But you're still in that getting out of your room.
What do I do?
So you will watch a show, usually a comedy show.
If I get out of my room.
You mean you don't want to stay?
We're going to look like a couple right now.
You
That's
don't want to
fine.
stay.
No, sometimes I force myself to get out of my room.
Yes.
Like, what does everybody in the house know that I do all the time?
Obviously you will do puzzles, but that's only if your mind is able to do a puzzle, because that's not always the case.
Okay, true.
Oh, yeah.
But you would do Sudokus as well, Sudokus.
Ooh.
And sometimes we bullet journal instead because it helps like refocus on this. So we would do like a bullet journal session if we're not okay. But that's only when your mind is still able to do and focus on some things. Otherwise, you'll watch a comedy show.
No, that's true. A lot of sitcoms, I feel like.
Sitcoms, all of that. Sometimes you'll take a walk outside because you need to like get outside of your room and you haven't gotten outside. You'll make some kind of food. half healthy, half not healthy to keep it, kind of lowered. And if you've completely given up, you order.
Or I don't eat.
Or you
That's
don't eat,
also...
but if you're still eating, you order.
No, she's right. It depends like where I am on the scale. But like if I start feeling depressed and I'm forcing myself to get out of my room, like everybody in the house, she's always teasing me. Like I kept doing puzzles like 2 months ago. I was not feeling great. And she's like, oh, you're back at puzzling. How are you feeling?
Like, what's going on? So you're puzzling again.
It's like I'm listening to a podcast and music and I'm doing the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Like I read something somewhere. It's not, you don't use the same part of your brain when you puzzle and you listen to something. So it's like you can really focus on both because you use both sides of
I put a show and I do Sudokus.
Yeah, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like something with your hands and something in your brain.
So what would you do? Well, right now, watch Grey's Anatomy over and over again.
That's not only when I'm not okay.
No, I know.
No,
I know. Well, I feel like we have the same tendency of isolating ourselves and like having that need of a bubble. And so I feel like TV shows or movies, we tend to go to that.
Mine's not healthy. And the reason is it's because I'm avoiding. So instead of feeling not okay and finding something that creates, like helps me generate some energy or generate something that could, either be channeled or like go to something different, I end up overeating to compensate.
That's very true.
And be drunk on caffeine, but that's also because of ADHD. Caffeine helps to focus when you have ADHD. So like, to me, I have a different relationship with coffee, even though it's not necessarily healthy. Yeah. And then I end up avoiding. So I watch TV shows and things like that because I have so many thoughts in my brain and it overwhelms me so much that the only thing I can do is not exist in the world that I'm in right now. So I travel into someone else's world, someone else's life. And then if the show helps me, then it's great. Sometimes it's going to make me more melancholic because of situations that they live and that I'm like, oh, but that would be so great. But like, that doesn't happen to me. And I want this. And so, yeah. And usually I'll go somewhere else. I can't stay at home. Mm-hmm. I can't stay in my environment.
Even to work, she needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't have that issue, but yeah. She's like, okay, I'm going to Starbucks or I'm going to IHOP. Do you want to come? I'm like, no, I have a meeting and I want to do my meeting there. So I'm just going to stay here. But yeah, she cannot work at home. Like she needs a different environment.
Are you a coffee drinker or more of a tea person? And what do you like to mix into your caffeinated beverage of choice? Personally, this past year, I've gotten really into oat milk. At one point in the pandemic, I was even making my own, but that didn't really last very long. It did require some effort, and honestly, some mornings, even just making coffee seems like a lot of effort. And that's where Rise Brewing Company comes in. They make nitro cold brew coffee and sell it in cans by itself or mixed as an oat milk latte, an oat milk mocha, and they do tea too, like an oat milk London fog. Or you can just buy their oat milk by itself. Have I said oat milk enough times in the last minute? The point is, Rise provides energy for good people to do good things, and I think their coffee is really good. And their oat milk, obviously. To get some Rise for yourself, click the link in the show notes. It lets Rise know we sent you and helps support our show. I do want to make sure that we talk about how people can actually support your film Up and Down right now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we have a campaign on Indiegogo, so we can share the link. You can follow us on social media. So Instagram should be up_and_down_film. Yes. Twitter is up_and_down_film. And Facebook is just Up and Down altogether. Film. No?
Wonderful.
Film? Probably film. Yeah. Okay. I think the film is everywhere.
I'll put the links in the show notes. People can just click.
Okay.
They can just click through.
And the campaign, even like we understand that not everybody has money to donate. So even just sharing is
yeah,
just so appreciated. So
and yeah, just like everything we say is also something that I want to make sure every time I say this, but it's like, it's our experience, our point of view. It is not a Bible and something to just follow to the letter. Those are our experiences and what we can talk about and what we've noticed, but they're not always, the absolute truth. So we are totally open to have discussions with people if they want about anything that they have experienced, like completely contrary to what we've just said. Yeah. And as long as it's respectful, we are totally down.
If like anyone who's watching on YouTube or like listening has any questions about bipolar, I'm more than happy to just answer anything. So you guys can just DM me. Like really, I feel like we need more people that just, educate other people, because there's a lot of people that just want to learn, but they don't really know where to go to find all the answers and like to really do some research. So I'm more than happy to just answer any questions. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. So it's from my experience and from what I've learned through like, talking with therapists, psychiatrists and things, but we cannot exactly. Honestly, eventually I kind of want to start like a community online. I know there are some already, but like to really create discussions and like for people that don't have like a very great support system, also if they just need to talk, like they can go to me. Like I'm more than happy to just listen to people's stories and help really in any way I can. Again, not a doctor, so but sometimes you just need someone to listen and just hear you out.
And we have more projects with mental health coming up and things that we're trying to create. So we're hoping
one about ADHD, actually.
Yeah, one about ADHD that we're gonna start doing very soon.
Mini series,
And I saw on the Indiegogo it says if you guys pass the goal, then extra money will go to some mental health organizations.
Yeah, that's the goal, because like once we reach our budget, like I'm not trying to make money out of this film. I'm really trying to raise awareness and like show people what it is. So I'm not doing this to make money. So might as well, if people are invested enough to give like a lot of money, like might as well just share it with people that need it.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's wonderful, and love hearing that you guys have some other mental health related projects in the works. Do you have any idea of like when Up and Down will come out, or is that depending on a million factors, which would be totally understandable?
Depending on a million factors, I also want to put it into festivals, and a lot of them, the deadlines are more like early 2023. Ooh, so trying, because some festivals, like you need to send them before in festivals, because if you release them on like YouTube or something, you're not eligible anymore. So I've been looking into this, but the sooner the better. And actually, if people if they go on the campaign, they can have an early access depending on how much they give. And honestly, like once the film is ready, I'll send them the link, even though it takes another year or something with the festivals to just come out. So if they want to that's a good one, right?
Yes.
Early access. We're doing a watch party and Q&A.
Oh, fun.
With some of the team. So I
love it so much. You guys are both so wonderful. It's been really, really great to talk to you. I feel like I learned a lot, and I appreciate you being vulnerable and open about all the things.
Thank you for the platform.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you, wonderful human, for listening to this episode of Mentally Together. I, Cassidy Quinn, will see you next week with part 2 of this wonderful conversation with Lisa and Alizée. In the meantime, go do something nice for your brain today. Go check up on a friend and see how they're feeling, have a good chat, go take a nap and catch up on some sleep, or binge watch your favorite TV show. Whatever will make your day just a little bit better. And don't forget to check out Lisa and Alizé's upcoming short film, Up and Down. It's not out yet, but if you click the link in the show notes, you can read more about it, learn what they're doing with it, and even donate to the crowdfunding campaign if you're interested. Because remember, we are all just trying to keep ourselves mentally together. Mentally Together is produced, hosted, and edited by Cassidy Quinn in collaboration with Koba FM, a podcast network that is all about community, baby.